Come to order, please. The January 22nd, 2013 meeting of the County Commission is now be in order. Before we go any further, I'm so glad to have Mr. Ritchie here with us today. He's been ill, and I know we're all glad to see him, but we request that you not shake hands, hug his neck, or give him sugar on the jaw, or anything like that. His immune system is low, and he'd be very susceptible to cold or anything like that. But we all glad he's back. Thank you. Now, call the roll. Madam Clerk.
Luther Peters.
Here.
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 Nancy Brown. Here. Joel Street.
Present.
Richard Winters.
Here.
Ronnie Crivitt.
Here.
Harry Seas.
Present.
Charles Montana.
Present.
Elsie Testor.
Here.
Steve Grant.
Present.
Tom Allen.
Here.
Joanne Blankenship.
Present.
Charlie Bailey. Ken Arden.
Here.
Steve Chambers.
Here.
John Lewis.
Here.
Sonia Coler. Russell Cott.
Here.
Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong.
Here.
Pat Hicks.
Present.
Mark Gold.
Here.
Sean Preston.
And I have a prayer by Lawrence Hodge, and then the pledge of allegiance by Mr. Von Camp.
Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for the privilege, Lord, that we have to serve our county government, Lord. And God, as we pray this morning, thank you for the beautiful weather we've had. God, we thank you that Brother Geeks with us today. We just ask God that your hand be upon him to heal his body. We know you're the great physician. And others, Lord, that might be need your healing hand too. And Father, we'd ask you comfort for the McKinney family, Lord. Lead, guide, and direct. Help us to do what you have us to do. Thank you for everything you've done. In Christ's name we pray.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Arden.
Make a motion to keep the agenda as it reads.
I have a motion by Mr. Arden to accept the agenda. Second. Second by Mr. Chambers. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
You ask for any discussion.
Go ahead.
In consideration of the fact that there are a couple of resolutions and 2 elections today, I would ask that the commission respectfully allow a change in the agenda, moving public comment from the current number 16 to number 6, just before those elections. Give the citizens of this county an opportunity to ask input in.
I second the motion.
There's already a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
No.
Let the record show that Mr. Brown, Mr. Von Cannon, Mr. Trivitt, and Mr. Lewis voted.
Mr.
No.
Myers, I didn't vote, sir.
I
I didn't say yea or nay,
Okay,
just make it clear.
thank you, Mr. Trivitt. Mr. Brown, Mr. Von Cannon, Mr. Lewis voted no. In that case, this time we'd like to recognize our elected officials and guests. Will you stand, please? And also, I'd like to recognize any veterans that's in the room. Thank you all for your service, folks. commissioner for the 5th District. In your package, you have the applications. For county commissioner, we have Mr. Snell. We have Ms. Dietz. And we have Mr. Blevins. I'm sorry. Mr. Holt, excuse me. At this time, if any of the applicants would like to say anything to the commission, if you'd like to keep it brief and be allowed to speak. Mr. Snell?
I want to thank you for allowing me to speak this morning. I know many people in here know who I am, but there may be some who do not. I'm a lifelong resident of Carter County, and so my concerns for this county are deeply rooted. I've lived here for 53 years. In fact, I was raised here. In fact, today I still have family in Carter County, and I am a property owner. I have a good education, a high school diploma from University High School, a Bachelor of Science from East Tennessee State University, and a Terminal Master of Fine Arts from Texas Tech University. My experience is quite varied and extensive. It started in high school, where I served as the president for a number of organizations that I participated in. I went on to East Tennessee State University and took leadership roles there. In fact, I am a founding member of what was called the President's Pride, which is an honorary student organization. Its membership is through faculty nomination only, and the president and the deans select those students to become those leaders and act as emissaries and ambassadors to the university. I represented the university to the public, took an active role in decision and policy making through the President's Pride, and met with potential students. I was also the president of Alpha Psi Omega, which is an honorary fraternity that participates in department education and public service. My work as a student also placed me in another, as a student worker, I should say, placed me in another leadership position with responsibilities in project oversight and human and resource management. Professionally speaking, I am a theater producer, so I have applied my management training to resource management, fiscal management, budgeting, marketing, and promotions. I've also served on the executive boards for a number of theaters, including a theater manager and a business manager. As to my qualifications in part at least come from all my years of involvement in theater arts and professional theater. Theater arts, I should point out, gives you enhanced communication skills, self-discipline, empathy, loyalty, tolerance, dependability, leadership skills, enthusiasm, motivation, creative problem-solving skills, the ability to work well under pressure and as a team member, and also a sense of cooperation. I've also worked as a teacher. I've worked at Appalachian State University, East Tennessee State University, Northeast State Community College, and the Johnson City School District in adult education, which gives you a level of responsibility. Today, I stay abreast of the current affairs in Carter County, and I've performed many good works for our community through my involvement in the Carter County Citizens in Action. Recently, we have volunteered and helped or raised funds for a number of local organizations, including the ARM, the Abortion Alternatives in Women's Center, the East Tennessee Spay and Neuter Group, and the Carter County Animal Shelter. Today I'm coming to you, and my reasons are fairly simple. I want to serve the citizens by using my background, my training, my experience to promote and market our county, to expand and grow Carter County economically, and to promote new businesses and the creation of jobs. I want to see our education system making improvements and growing. And I'm also currently involved with the creation of an arts council for Carter County. This organization will, again, create jobs. It will attract economic development and create an economic, let's call it an economic impact. And all of this I will do simultaneously promoting the fiscal responsibility of our county, good ethical management practices, integrity in our politics, solicitation of public comments and opinions as we are making our decisions, and keeping in close contact with my constituents in the 5th District, Happy Valley, will be one of my most important jobs. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Snail.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Did you have a question?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Snail,
Yes, sir.
Elizabeth and Star, and they always speak the truth. On 1/8/13, there was an article that you read. Now, which side of the fence are you going to stand on here today?
May I see the article to get the quote, sir?
I'll let you look at it.
Sir, I'll return it. I won't keep it. Let me see. Let's see. This is for those of you who may not have read the article, for those of you who are not necessarily taking the Star. This is the letter that I wrote, encouraging people to run for this office, this open office. Could you specifically point to the thing that you wanted me to address?
You addressed this, saying that this commission in this district have been underrepresented.
It is underrepresented, sir.
Now,
If
which
an
side,
individual
John,
is
is
a
over here, look down the paper back, if you will, Sam.
Oh, very good.
That's the question.
Yes, sir.
Now, which side of the fence are you gonna stand on here today? Because with your CIA and the little mayor here,
The little mayor, sir?
you address this paper that is underrepresented, but then you want this commission downsized. So I'd like for you to,
I can explain that.
Refer to
Not a
that.
problem. Not a problem, sir. When I make the statement that our commission is underrepresented, what that means, sir, is simply this. How many commissioners are supposed to be on this commission, sir? Could you tell me?
24.
24. 3 representatives
If you
per
said
district.
you
And
said
it is
it's
underrepresented, sir. It is underrepresented if, no, he asked a question, and I definitely want him to be clear on this. A commission is underrepresented when there are to be 24 members, but only 23 actually exist. If you look at your packet, I don't have my packet up here, but if you look at your packet, in my packet, there is a copy of the letter that was written by hand, I believe, by Mr. Renfro, one of my representatives. There's a letter that is his letter of resignation. And if you'll take notes, what you'll see is that the letters is written in December, but it says, I am actively resigning on November, I believe, 30th. I'm pretty sure that's correct. So he was already resigned at the time he sent in his letter, which means that if an individual, and please, Mr. Bauer, if you would correct me if this is wrong, but if an individual has left the county, then is that individual allowed to represent us as a commissioner, sir?
Establishes permanent residence in another state, no.
Okay, now,
Let me
okay,
interject
sorry.
something here.
Yes, sir.
According to his letter that you'll point out, it was dated December the 9th.
December 9th.
I received it on December 13th.
Okay.
On December the 14th, I brought a copy to the mayor's office and to the clerk's office. And it was advertised in the Star on the 26th.
Yes, sir.
Of December. Now, I believe that's an undue delay of any type.
Well, I'm not blaming you, no, sir. I'm not blaming you. But what I'm saying is, at the point at which he moved out of this county, he would no longer be eligible to act as a commissioner. Now, what that means by underrepresented is that my Happy Valley section of the district of the county, my Happy Valley district at that point is effectively underrepresented. When we are supposed to have 3 commissioners but have only 2, Happy Valley at that point became underrepresented. Now, whether we have 24 commissioners, 16 or 7 or 2, whatever, no matter how many commissioners we're supposed to have, my Happy Valley district was underrepresented if we don't have 3 and we're supposed to have 3. The entire county is underrepresented when they're supposed to have 24, but have only 23. And that is the reason for that statement, sir. Did you understand that? Did I confuse you? Or do you need more additional explanation?
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I'm
This was
sorry.
never intended to be a question and answer session. This is just their opportunity of the candidates to address the commission on their requirements and reasons for wanting to apply.
Sorry, Tom. Forget about me.
Thank you. Ms. Deeks, would you like to address?
Good morning. First, I'd like to thank the mayor and chairman and members of the commission for giving me this opportunity to introduce myself. I'd like to be a commissioner because I want to help make decisions that will allow the county to continue to move forward. Also to make decisions that will make a good county even better. I would appreciate the opportunity to give back to a community, which is the 5th district, that has been so good to me. I feel like I'm qualified for this position. I was born in Carter County and I'm a lifelong member. I'm a graduate from East TSU with a BS degree in business and English. I taught in the county for 35 years. And during that time, I was president of the Carter County Education Association, and I also served on the negotiating team. Educators from District 1 elected me to go to Nashville to represent them as their political action person. After retirement, I became president of the Elizabeth and Carter County Retired Education Association, and I also spent 8 years traveling as a tour guide. I've served on many committees in education, in my community, and at my church. And at the present time, I teach a ladies' Sunday school class, and on election day, I serve as a poll worker. I believe with this background, I've developed the skills needed to work with people. So if elected, I'd consider it an honor to serve the citizens of the county to the best of my ability. And my goal is to help make Carter County a safer and a better place to live for all of its citizens. Thank you.
Mr. Holder, would you like to say something?
So I too would like to thank you for this opportunity. I'm just going to give you a little bit of my background. I think we all have common goals here, and my goals are your goals. I want to make Carter County, especially the 5th District, a better place. Many of you do not know me. My name is Tim Holgren. I graduated from Happy Valley High School in 1979. Miss Goose was one of my favorite teachers, so I'm honored to be at the same podium that she's been. I graduated as a salutatorian. I attended Middleton College and played baseball there for 1 year. I transferred to Northeast State and received an associate's degree in electronics. I went to work for Texas Instruments in 1983. I continued to work and completed a BS degree in electronics at ETSU in 1987, where I did graduate with cum laude honors. I worked as an engineer for TI, Siemens, Epic Technology, for those in this district. In this county knows that that's the same building, 3 different owners, for 25 years. And then they decided to move to Mexico, and I decided to stay in Carter County. I went back to school received certification in HVAC from Tennessee Technology, and I went to work for Jacob Field Services, working as an HVAC journeyman on the Eastman property. From there, I took a job with Energy Systems Group, managing the Mountain Home Energy Center. We provide steam, chilled water, and electricity to the VA hospital. We provide steam and chilled water to ETSU Medical Facility, and we provide chilled water for the Millennium Center Conference Center. So our operating budget that I'm responsible for is about $1.5 million, and we have an on-hand inventory of approximately $100,000. That's my professional background. As far as personally, I've been married to my wife Ginger for over 26 years. She's a distant learning teacher for Carter County. She has students from Happy Valley, Cloudland, Unaka, and Hampton. She is also an agent for Realty Executives, and she is currently working on her DES degree at LMU University. We have 2 daughters. The oldest one is Kaylee. She graduated last year from EHS as a valedictorian. She is currently on scholarship in the architectural department at the University of Tennessee. Our youngest daughter is Corlin. She's in the 8th grade at Tiagoga, where she holds a 4.0 average, and she's also a cheerleader. We own and manage rental property in Carter County. I have an HVAC business license, and in my spare time, I do some farming. Lastly, and most importantly, we worship at Sinking Creek Baptist Church, where we serve as Sunday school teachers. I also serve as a deacon and a member of the Gideons International. It would be my honor and privilege to represent the citizens of Carter County, the 5th District, and the 5th District Commissioner. Thank you. I will, if elected, I will serve with an open mind, and I have no personal agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. The floor will now be open for nominations.
Nominate Bobby Dees.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Any other nominations? Okay, thank you. John. Any other nominations? I have a motion, nomination cease. So moved. Second.
Second.
Nomination cease. When your name is called, well, since we only have one candidate, when your name is called, answer with the name of the candidate that you vote for. That'll be Ms. Dees, the only candidate that has been nominated.
Snail.
The floor has already been closed to nominations, Nancy. Sorry.
Joanne Blankenship. Deeds. Charlie Bates.
Dees.
Buford Peters.
Dees.
Ed Ritchie.
Dees.
Lawrence Hodge.
Deeds.
Nancy Brown. Ayes. Joel Street.
Dees.
Richard Winters.
Dees.
Ronnie Trivet.
Deeds.
Harry Seas.
Dees.
Charles Montana.
Gooch, Deeds.
L.C. Textor.
Dees.
Steve Grant.
Deeds.
Tom Bowers.
Dees.
Ben Arnett.
Deeds.
Steve Chambers.
Dees.
John Lewis.
Dale.
Sonia Cole. Deeds. Russell Cott.
Deeds.
Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong.
Dees.
Pat Hicks.
Dees.
Robert Goff.
Dees.
Does anyone change their vote?
Twenty votes for Dees. Congratulations, Mr. Dees. If you'd like to come up and have the county clerk swear you in.
Raise your right hand. Do you, Bobby Diggs, do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States of America, and the state of Tennessee, that you will faithfully and honestly discharge the duties of the office of county commissioner to the best of your skills and ability, and will faithfully demean yourself as the appointed of this office. Would you do your best, and so help you God?
All right, our next order of business, we need to select a member for the planning commission. In your packets also are the applications for Mr. Blevins, Mr. Hughes, and Mr. Piering. Would any of you folks like to address the commission? Tonight,
Mr. Chair, isn't there Bobby Blevins on there too?
did I not say that?
No, this is planning commission, right?
Yes. Go right ahead, Mr.
Well, good morning, everybody. Most of you here already know who I am, but unless you've read my application and my resume, you don't know my qualifications for this position. I'm going to make it short, and I'll just briefly tell you a little bit about my qualifications. I hold an associate's in science college degree. I've made the dean's list on more than one occasion while attending college. I've been a licensed contractor in both New York and Florida, and I'm currently a licensed and certified Tennessee home inspector. This certification requires me to be nearly as knowledgeable as a building inspector in some aspects, and even more so in others. Each year, I take a continuing education class to be informed of the changes in the building code and the building practices. I've been party to neighborhood redevelopment projects in the past in New York and Florida. And throughout the years, while living here in Carter County, I've donated time and resources to various organizations such as ARM, Carter County's Animal Shelter, Citizens in Action, Abortion Alternatives, and others. As we all know, communities are ever changing. I'd like the opportunity to offer a different perspective to the adaptation of these changes, as opposed to continuing to maintain the attitude of this is how we've always done things. Carter County needs to change with these ever-changing times and demographics, and I'd like to be a part of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
I said, thank you, Mr. Hughes, sorry.
Question?
Let's not get into question and answers on these. We're just going to let them give their sales pitch. We've already seen their applications. Thank you. Mr. Blevins.
Thank you, Commissioner. Most of y'all know me, I guess. My name's Bobby Blevins. I've lived in Carter County pretty much all my life, 44 years now. Lived in the same, within 2 miles of where I grew up, 5th District. And been serving as on the Carter County School Board working on my 7th year now. And serve as chair over there. But just, back to planning, I work over at Johnson City Power Board. Been there for 20 years now. And I deal every day with projects and with such new power lines going in as far as working with water department, sewer department, new developments going in. Like I said, it's a daily basis for me. And like I said, very versed in most of the codes and everything when it comes to planning. And like I said, I just want to serve people in Carter County and do my fair share, and I think that would be a great asset to the Planning Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blevins. We have one more applicant, Mr. Pierman. He cannot be here today. He had an urgent doctor's appointment, and but you have his application in front of you. This time floor will be open for nominations.
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Mr. Blevins.
Okay. Any other nominations?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Sis?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Spear. Any other nominations?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Mr. Hughes.
Mr. Hughes. All right, we have all three members or applicants nominated. When your when your name is called, reply with the name of the applicant you wish to vote for. Yes, Ms. Brown.
Okay, ain't there a private act of 1972 that states as long as there are a commissioner in each district is represented, you wouldn't have to have anybody else on this board today, would you not?
I'll leave that open.
Because there are 11 members. And if you don't put anybody else on this board today, it would save the county $600 at least a year by not filling this seat. We've got as many as we actually have to have right now. It's well represented.
I don't wish we wouldn't have to. It has 12 members on it now. There's a vacancy, and I don't see a problem with people of the county having a little bit extra representation when it comes to planning. Any other comments? Questions? All right. Call the roll now.
Buford Peters.
Chairman.
Steve Ritchie.
Chairman.
Lawrence Hodge.
Chairman.
Nancy Brown.
Ayes.
Joel Street.
Ayes.
Richard Winters.
Chairman.
Ronnie Trivitt.
Blevins.
Harry Seas.
Chairman.
Charles Von Cannon.
Hughes.
Elsie Tester.
Blevins.
Steve Lance.
Here.
Tom Bowers.
Chairman?
Joanne Blankenship.
Blevins.
Charlie Davis.
Blevins.
Bobby Dees.
Blevins.
Ken Arden.
Here.
Steve Chambers.
Here.
John Lewis.
Blevins.
Sonia Cole.
Chairman.
Russell Cott.
Chairman.
Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong.
Blevins.
Pat Hicks.
Blevins.
Robert Goblin.
Blevins.
Does anyone want to change your vote?
Change my vote to Blevins.
Chairman and 10 for Blevins. All right. We will have another vote. Of course, the bottom vote getter will be dropped from the list, and we'll vote again.
Can you vote at the same time, Mr. Chairman, after it's, nobody gets a majority? You can vote it again as long as you keep, till you get 13 votes.
Yes, sir. What's that?
Buford Peters.
Chairman.
Steve Ritchie.
Chairman.
Lawrence Hodge.
Chairman.
Nancy Brown.
Ayes.
Joel Street.
Pass.
Richard Winters.
Chairman.
Ronnie Trivitt.
Blevins.
Harry Seas.
Chairman.
Charles Montana.
Blevins.
Elsie Tester.
Blevins.
Steve Lawrence. Tom Bowers.
Chairman.
Joanne Blankenship.
Blevins.
Charlie Davis.
Blevins.
Bobby Dees.
Blevins.
Ken Arden,
Here.
Steve Chambers,
Chairman.
John Lewis,
11.
Sonia Coler. Here. Russell Cott,
Chairman.
Scott Sands, Bill Armstrong,
11.
Pat Hicks,
11.
Robert Goff,
11.
same thing.
11 to 10. We will re-advertise this and we'll vote on it again in our February meeting. Congratulations to Ms. Deeds and to those who were unsuccessful in their attempt. I'd like to thank you for your interest in serving the community.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Just an item of clarification, you said you're going to re-advertise. What about those people that have filled their applications today? They won't have to submit again?
they should not have to reapply. No, sir.
Just to make sure, thank you.
Now, acceptance of the minutes from the previous meeting. We have a motion. Mr. Lewis, second by Mr. Chambers. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Notaries and bonds.
Jeanette Higgins, Andre Calhoun, Irene Jones, Pamela A. Rodriguez, T.J. Little Jr., Tina Clark, Linda K. Hall, Rebecca Davis, Laura Becky Morris, Richard Norris, Nancy M. Bird, Melissa B. Moore, Alan C. Stapleton, Catherine Campbell, Terry Buckett, Sandra H. Ronder, Carrie D. Norman, Rebecca M. Potter, Carrie D. Lee, Cynthia Tittle, Jennifer L. Bayer, Jonathan R. Wilson.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hodge, second by Mr. Street to accept these. Any discussion? Mr. Von Cannon.
Thomas Cowan Jr. What's his status now with the courts? Because if his status with the courts is such that he shouldn't be required to be on this list.
This is his son.
Is he in or out, off and on?
That's my knowledge. That's my knowledge.
Last I heard, he was in. If he is, then he shouldn't be on this list.
I think he's out, but according to some of the other members here, this is not him, it's his son.
Does that not preclude him from,
It's his son, it's not this.
oh, it's his son?
Yeah.
Sorry, son.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Now we'll have some presentations by the mayor.
Good morning. It's a beautiful morning, Clark County, isn't it? Come on.
Yes, sir.
Cold. Cold? Cold. Each year, the Tennessee Board of Regents sponsors a statewide Student of the Year competition. Therein, a student is chosen from each of the 27 technology centers. These students prepare and deliver a speech which describes how the Tennessee Technology Center has improved their lives and career goals. This year, Ms. Caitlin Beverly, who is majoring in practical nursing, was chosen to represent the Tennessee Center at Elizabeth. I have found that much too often, as government leaders, we engage in lengthy discussions pertaining to the overall quality of education with administrators as well as other elected and appointed officials. However, seldom do we hear directly from the students themselves. Student opinions are of the utmost importance, Thus, I have asked Caitlin to present her speech to the commission today. Help me welcome Caitlin Beverly.
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you all. I'm attending Tennessee Technology Center in the Practical Nursing Program, as he said, and this is my speech. Once upon a time, there was a 17-year-old girl. She was a typical high school student. Her life was filled with all things a high school senior dreamed about: prom, senior pictures, cheerleading, marching band, homecoming, college applications, and graduation. She had her life carefully planned and knew where she wanted to go. She planned to graduate at the top of her class, attend the college of her choice, and live happily ever after working in the career of her dreams, nursing. Sometimes happily ever after doesn't turn out quite as planned. I vividly remember the night I told my mom I was pregnant. I never did get the words out. All I could do was cry. Her mother's intuition took over and she asked me, "Are you pregnant?" I cried so hard I couldn't answer, but she knew. I cried harder than I ever thought possible. Being pregnant was terrifying, but the thought of letting my mom and dad down was even worse. The only words I could manage to get out were, "My life is over. Everything is ruined. It's all over." My mom never yelled and she didn't cry. She calmly sat down on my bed next to me and looked me in the eye. "Your life isn't over," she said. "You made a choice. It may have been a choice you never intended, but what's done is done. You can't go back and change it. You can only go forward." Her calmness made me cry harder. It would have been easier if she would have yelled and screamed at me. It would have matched how miserable I felt inside. But she just sat there. "I'm never going to college. My life is ruined," I sobbed. "I can't go to school like this," I yelled at her. "Oh, yes, you can," she replied. "You're going to school and you're going to college. You can't hide from this. Everyone makes bad choices. You can choose to face this with your head held high, or you can hide at home in shame. It might be easier to hide at home, but it's not about you anymore. You're going to be a mother. Everything you do from this moment on affects two people." I went to school the next day, and the next day, and the day after that. I went to high school every single day up until the day I went into labor. High school was harder than I ever imagined. I found out who my true friends were, and I learned life lessons I'll never forget. I learned that there are everyday people that you might never take notice of who are heroes. They're disguised as varsity football jocks who pick up your books when you drop them, and eccentric calculus teachers who give up their own time to make sure you don't fail, and high school principals who make you laugh when you feel like crying. The day I walked across the stage to receive my diploma, my daughter, Emma Grace, was 6 weeks old. I graduated high school in the top 10% of my class. I was the president of the Spanish club and received awards in English and history. I received several scholarships and several letters of acceptance from the colleges I had applied to. I didn't choose Tennessee Technology Center because I had nowhere else to go. It wasn't a second choice or a consolation prize. I chose Tennessee Technology Center because it offered what no other college could offer: an opportunity to support my daughter with an excellent wage in a growing industry within a year, and the opportunity to pursue my own dreams at my own pace. While attending Tennessee Technology Center, I work every weekend as a CNA. I love my job and I enjoy what I do. I'm proud of the fact that I support my daughter, but I know that she deserves a mother who will not give up on her dream of becoming a nurse. She deserves to know that if you believe in something and refuse to give up, you can accomplish anything you set your mind to. When I graduate from the LPN program at Tennessee Technology Center, my salary will more than double. Even more importantly, because the LPN program is highly respected and has an excellent reputation in Tennessee and North Carolina, I'll have the opportunity to continue my path toward becoming a registered nurse, while I'm earning a wage that fully supports my daughter. No other college could offer this peace of mind. I started this story as a 17-year-old high school senior with a dream. Along the way, I became a mother. Today, I'm a mother with a dream. Tennessee Technology Center has given me an invaluable opportunity, the chance to pursue my dream and be the best mother I can be. Once upon a time, there was a 17-year-old girl. Life may not have turned out exactly as she planned, but she will live happily ever after. Thank you, Tennessee Technology Center.
I think that puts everything in proper perspective, don't you? Yes. It's extremely important important to note that prior to graduating from Avery County High School in the top 10% of her class, Caitlin completed dual enrollment courses at Mayland Community College and the University of Greensboro, North Carolina. She received academic scholarships from Cannon Memorial Hospital, Avery Community Foundation, and Mountain Electric Cooperative. She was employed as a certified nursing assistant at Life Care Center of Bannerell prior to enrolling at the Technology Center. It's very understandable why Caitlin was chosen as the 2012-13 Student of the Year. We are extremely proud of your accomplishments and wish you the very best throughout your career. I would like to present you with this plaque as a small token of your outstanding accomplishments. Also, it's a privilege to have with us today Sandy Barker. Sandy? She is one of the instructors and advisors at the Technology Center. Ms. Barker graduated from East Tennessee State University with a Bachelor of Science in Nursing and also a Master of Science degree. She and Ms. Emma Hobson, an author, former supervisor of the ER at Johnson City Medical Center and critical care nurse, start approximately 90 students annually. The two of them teach this group of students from September to August, taking them through a rigorous program transforming their lives. Sandy and Emma have taught hundreds of nurses who now work locally, regionally, and in many neighboring states. Most of their students are from the 5 northeastern counties of Tennessee, with an increasing number coming from North Carolina and Virginia. Recently, a student moved here from as far away as Oregon after finding out about the Technology Center's status as an award-winning student. There are 3 nursing classes going on at any given time, making the program one of the largest in the state. Sandy assists with Skills USA and has coached several state winners. Last year, 4 of the nursing students won gold at the national level. She is also an active sponsor of the National Technical Honor Society. The local chapter has won 3 Silver Star of Excellence awards, 2 for service, and 1 outstanding chapter in the last year. I think Sandy is to be commended for her continued dedication and commitment to the overall success of these students. On behalf of myself and the Commission, I thank you for all your efforts developing a better future for our county. Thank you. We're fortunate to have the Technology Center and the other fine schools here in Carter County. Don Palmer, District Ranger for the Cherokee National Forest Service, began his career with the U.S. Forest Service in 1976. His first assignment was at Mount Hood National Forest in Oregon. Since that time, he worked on national forests in North Carolina, Michigan, West Virginia, and Tennessee. To date, he has given 22 years of exemplary service at the district level and 14 years as a supervisor. Positions he has held include recreation technician, wilderness ranger, supervisory forestry technician, outdoor recreation planner, resource assistant, public affairs officer, forest recreation / wilderness staff officer, and district ranger. Where fire is concerned, Don qualified in 1989 as a planning section chief and situation unit leader. During the past 26 years, he has served with approximately 20 different Type 1 and 2 teams, including Canadian teams on assignments throughout the continental United States, Alaska, and Puerto Rico. Since 2007, Don has served on one of the Southern Area Incident Management teams and is currently the planning section chief for the Southern Area Type 1 Red Team. Here locally, Don has been instrumental in assisting the mayor's office and highway department with much-needed road projects. His guidance resulted in the securement of federal funds through the Secure Rural Schools program at a tune of $53,000+, which ultimately led to the initiation of the Dennis Cove paving project. On January the 3rd, after 36 years of dedicated service, Don decided it was finally time to retire. He plans to reside here in Carter County and spend his free time boating, fishing, traveling, and working on his golf handicap. What a lucky guy. Let's welcome Don. Don, I'd like to present you with this plaque. This is a small token of appreciation for all your years of tremendous service to the county.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. What? No, I didn't have any plan. I guess I'd just like to say real quick, I know we've talked a lot, but yeah, it's great. I've had a great 5 years here. I do plan on spending the rest of my life in Carter County. So when I bought my condo, I said, when I don't care what it's worth now, when they take me out, it's going to be feet first. So I really do like the area. I've had a great career. Yeah, it's all about relationships. And I think that's one of the things we forget about a lot of times when we work for different agencies or different organizations and things. None of us can ever get it done by ourselves, but we can get an awful lot done when we get together and talk about it. And sometimes you think this won't work or that won't work, but it's amazing when you get the right people together and sit down and talk about what you can get accomplished. So thank you all very much.
Don's absolutely correct. I sit on a number of boards across First Tennessee Development District, and today I will have to say that all of those have resulted in extremely professional relationships with the 8 county mayors, rangers, all the other parties that we interface with, and all of them have worked to help this county and move it forward and continue to do so. So thank you, Don, for all your help. You did spend many hours on this project. He and I went to Knoxville, went before the RAC committee to get this project initiated and authorized and ultimately paid off. So thank you. Tennessee Code Annotated 7-86-105B1. Except as otherwise provided by law, an emergency communications district shall have a board of directors composed of no fewer than 7 nor more than 9 members to govern the affairs of the district. For districts created by a county legislative body, the county mayor shall appoint the members of the board of directors subject to confirmation by the county legislative body. In each of your packets is a copy of correspondence dated January 3rd, 2013, as submitted by 911 Director Dale Blevins. Therein, he provides information for the board's nominee to the open seat created by the resignation of Chairman Matt Bailey. After much discussion, the board has decided to maintain its original composition by having Mr. Greg Workman, the newly appointed Elizabethan Chief of Police, to fill this vacancy. He has many years' experience in law enforcement and also worked at one time for the Communications District as a dispatcher. Mr. Workman's combined professional experience and the level of confidence placed in him by the 911 Board of Directors warrant his mayoral appointment. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, a motion would now be in order to confirm Mr. Workman's appointment to fill the vacancy that exists on the Carter County Emergency Communications District 911 Board of Directors.
I say.
Motion by Mr. Von Cannon, second by Mr. Lewis. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
For the sake of brevity, I won't go into great detail on these other items, but you do have included in your packets a couple pieces of correspondence. The first one dated January 14th from Ms. Paula Mitchell, Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, Division of Solid Waste Management, has established a date for the Carter County Household Hazardous Waste Collection event. This year's event will occur at 5/18 on 5/18 at the Carter County Recycling Center, 411 Park Drive, Elizabethton, from 9 to 1. So please make certain to mark that on your calendar and get that out to your constituents. The second one is a piece of correspondence from a construction manager dealing with the Gap Creek Road project. Effectively January 14th at 9 a.m. through January 14th, 2014. So 1 year at 9 a.m., 365 days. We will be closing Gap Creek Road, State Route 362 from Dry Creek Road, State Route 361 to Tester Road. The closure will be necessary to complete the construction of several retaining walls needed in order to widen the Gap Creek Road. There's one other item in there. You do have a piece of correspondence from Reedy and Sykes indicating that the notice to proceed for the animal shelter was set for yesterday, January 21. There has been a change in that. As of late Friday, the plans for the new shelter have to go before the Elizabethton Planning Commission before permits will be issued. It's my understanding that the Elizabethton Planning Commission will meet on the February 7th, and at that time, there's no reason why those plans will not be approved. So that date will be adjusted shortly thereafter. It's really unfortunate with the delays, but at this point in time, considering the amount of rain that we've had with last week's event and earlier, it will probably take it a couple of weeks for that site to dry out. So we are in the process, and we should be able to break ground definitely in the month of February, early on. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I got a question for you. Back in, I think, the 26th of November, at the animal shelter, we lost our labor from the Sheriff's Department trustees due to, I believe it was cell phones in their possession, and there was also drugs involved. And the Sheriff's Department took the prisoners away from the animal shelter. They're really short-handed out there, and they need all the help they can get. What's being done to solve that?
Those people are back in place.
Thank you.
Yes, it was a 30-day situation, I understand. I was contacted initially by Captain Smith, talked with several other people there, discussed all these issues with the director and the staff, met with them. The advisory board's handled it, and everything's under control, and everything's back in operation.
Thank you.
Okay? Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now we have a presentation by Ms. Connie Baker.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All of you look wonderful this morning. And I want to thank you for allowing me to get on your agenda. I know you're very busy, and I'll try to take up just 3 to 5 minutes of your time. We have the Community Information Center. A number of you are familiar with our center, and of course some of you are not. So I wanted to share a little information about it and invite you to come up and see it and just see some of the things that we've been doing in the community. My background, I had my undergraduates from Knoxville College. My graduate degree is from University of Tennessee, and further studied business and education, and further study from the University of Minnesota. On my way to work one morning, I was involved in an accident. So Minnesota said they could patch me up. I grew up here in Elizabethton, finished Elizabethton High School, and my parents said they needed a little help, and they had voted for me to move back, just like y'all voted on a number of situations today. And I said, well, who all voted? They said, everybody but you. So you see, that system still works. So I moved back home in 2000. In talking with a number of our community people, they listed some things that they wanted to occur in that community and in Carter County as well. And that's how we arrived at having a community information center. It started out very small, grew like an octopus. So we're still working with that. Our slogan has a community informational center will stimulate economic growth in our community by instilling pride, building self-esteem, improving skills, providing the necessary items to improve their lives, and hopefully provide jobs. And that's one of our next workshops that's coming up, hopefully February the 28th. One of our board members, Mr. Coleman, and we work and partner with other organizations, the portion of the health department at the UT Extension here, and that's going to be February the 28th at 6:30. So we still have a large number of programs going. We are a nonprofit organization. We have a 501(c)(3). We are tax exempt. So as you can see, we've been steadily working. We started out with the business startup before the main organization that I read in the paper last year. It has really grown. The Chamber of Commerce and our group worked together. We pulled 1 or 2 speakers in from Knoxville for the small business organization about 7 or 8 years ago. We have some committee members that are on our board that also help with that. And Mr. Dixon, one of the vice presidents of one of the local banks, has done a large section with that. We provide tutoring on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays. We have preschool through high school. We also allow people to come in and work on their GED on the computers. When they're ready to take the test, we send them out to the other location and allow them to take their test. We do need more equipment. One of the other things that a number of you are familiar with, I see some of my friends that come to our free tax program. We charge nothing for none of the programs that we provide. Our tax program, we are connected with IRS to provide volunteer income tax assistance, and we've been doing that for about 11 years. Starts in February and goes to April. And sometimes the line is so long, we send them out to get lunch and tell them to bring us a little back. So that works very well. A number of the other programs that we have a health organization that goes along with that, and we have partnered with ETSU with that, and it has worked very well. The person that was over that was Miss Rosetta Blanton. She had retired from the Navy and worked in that health department. She was a nurse. And unfortunately, she passed away about a year ago. We missed her tremendously. She bought books in, and she ran the program just like a military situation. She said, you're going to be here 3 hours today, you're going to learn this, and you're going to do that. And we followed her. We had a number of programs dealing with diabetes, because it's very large and prominent in our community. So what you request is usually what we set up and try to work with. Let me see if there's 1 or 2 other things we want to share with you about our program. We also have a little building section where they have helped with ramps in the community. They have helped repair some ceilings and a number of other things. So as you can see, our program has been very good for the community. We partnered with a number of the programs over in Johnson City, providing housing workshops. and that type of thing, and we have been requested to set up another one. So a large number of homes have been repaired with that. We want to thank you for allowing us to use the building at the Douglas School. Our community has always used that building back in time for plays, speakers that came into the community. And presently, this is where we have our meetings and that type of thing for these programs. So again, we appreciate you allowing us to use that Douglas building for our activities there. And hopefully you will visit us and come see some of the things that we're doing. And I have a small list that I'll pass around, or you may keep it, I'm sorry. And it's letting you know the type of activities that's coming up, and we will get them in the paper. As I said, presently we have the workshop on job readiness, which will be February the 28th. The Bible program will be every Saturday. It starts at 11 in the morning and go to 6 in the afternoon. And we always take volunteers. So if you do want to come and help with the tutoring, or maybe help out with some of the tax situations that we train you, we'd be very happy to have you. And we are planning another health program. So I'll circulate this, you may have it. And if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer.
Ms. Baker?
Yes.
Do you still have a need for a computer?
Yes. Yes.
Someone in the group may have an old computer. She's in dire need of a computer and a monitor, but certainly a computer. And we commend you for the work you do, because a lot of people don't even know you exist, but you do a great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Baker, I also know what you do, and I know what you do. I appreciate what you do.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, I make a motion, we take a 10-minute break.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. And recess.
That's true.
I hadn't talked to him, I think he's okay.
Listen, is some of your relatives a nurse over at the VA? She's Kendra Truman. Works for Dr. Pearson. She's my nurse over there. I just got her before. I'll bring him by one day.
Thank you.
Get up there.
I believe everybody's back. Now we have two resolutions. First is a resolution for private act concerning the Park and Rec Committee.
Mr. Chairman, there's a couple errors in this resolution that needs to be changed. In the very beginning there, where it talks about Ron Ramsey, Rusty Crowe representatives, it calls Matthew Hill, Timothy Hill is our state representative, Matthew Hill from Washington County, and 6 paragraphs down, it also says Matthew Hill instead of Timothy Hill. So I would like to request that those errors be changed.
Tim did consider that a compliment that I had named him after his brothers.
Do what?
I told him I'd made that mistake. He did consider it a compliment, but I will get that fixed for you.
Okay, thank you.
I apologize.
Ms. Blankenship?
Also, in the next one down after the second, Kennedy Hill, the year is 2012, in the thing, but it should be 2013.
Okay, where it says, whereas 11-24-104, it's got down here right now that this board, literally, that statute states that this is a non-paid board. And if we pass this, then this makes this, if you go back to the back page, this means that this will be a funded board then of $50 per meeting if we pass this resolution today.
Correct. Mr. Lewis?
And Ms. Byers, this is the lawyer Byers. Is this legal
Well, yeah, I mean, we can draft a private act to change the makeup of this board. The sponsor of the bill is Commissioner Peters. He's the one that asked me to prepare it. So questions as far as what the board wanted and what they were trying to accomplish probably should be directed to him. I just drafted what he asked me to draft. But you can certainly have a private act to exempt yourself out of a statute and allow expansion of a board or even decreasing the size of the board, depending on what the will of the commission is and the will of the
I
legislature.
was unaware that we had any kind of problems. Why would they want to have a private act? To get out underneath some of the, I don't understand what the problem is.
If I can answer some of these questions. We had discussed here several months ago about, it was probably once in a meeting, about the county not being fully represented on the Park and Recreation Board. Under current law, we're allowed to only have 5 members on that board. Okay, we have 8 districts in the county. We had districts that were not being represented because of the number on the board. The mayor had mentioned it once before. And I've had several people mention it to me. When I was appointed to the Park and Rec Board, we discussed this. So we decided to make it more representative. It would be better if we had one person from each district. Well, state law didn't allow that. State law was currently written as a catch-all. It was, it was written to cover the whole state, which every county in the state don't have the same situation. There's different. This county is diverse and spread out. We've got Little Milligan, Rome Mountain, different areas, and we felt like to be truly representative, we needed a representative from each district. So that's one thing we needed to change. We didn't put it under current state law. We also have board members that feel like that they drive from Rome Mountain, they drive from Little Milligan, they go out and look at different things, and as high as gas is now, they feel like they are being compensated. So that's why we added, under state law, you couldn't compensate. But, and also we limited it to 8 meetings a year. We were having 12. We limited the amount being 8 meetings, just to try to say that. So that was one thing. We asked Mr. Bowers to help us with this, and he did. He done a great job. The Park and Rec Board appropriates money to different projects in the county. We've helped at Little Milligan with a project up there, and right now we're trying to work through the school system to try to help the community and the school system with different projects that are open to the public. Like we've appropriated money up at Little Milligan, we've helped them with a picnic shed up there that's open to the public. We have helped Hunter Elementary with some projects. We helped United Elementary with some playground equipment that's going to be open to the public. We helped Long Mountain State Park with a lot of their work. The Park and Rec spends a lot of money that they raise on their own. That's not only appropriated to the county, but they raise, I was surprised with the amount of money they raise on their own to help with these projects throughout the county. So that's, and under state law, we didn't represent the whole county under the way the current law is. So that's what I was saying.
Did Mr. Bowers, the lawyer, tell you that you couldn't put no more members on that board without a private act?
Under state law, that's the way it was wrote.
The current code, Mr. Lewis, limits the board membership to 5 members, non-paid. And that was the request I received from the Park and Rec Board was to draw a private act that would allow 8.
If the 5 members had been doing the job, then why not let the 5 members continue to do the job? Now you start putting pay on this thing. This year you might get $50, next year you might want $100. Next year you might want $150. $600.
Well, that's up to the
See,
county commission.
that would be up to the board. That's to give the board the sole authority on other things.
Now, wait a minute. If this law is passed, it's $50, and you'd have to pass another private act to change that, right?
The private act does cap it at $50 per month.
Private act change that.
Well, I think that these people been doing all this work, for free, and that's why they done all this work to stop this, to, help, maybe help the citizens of Coleman County. I just don't think it's, it was up front.
Well, the Lord had been being paid up until about a year ago.
The board had been receiving payment for their services, but I received a request to research it. Upon my research, it was pretty clear in the code they couldn't be paid, so I had to issue a letter to Ms. Ingrid, the Loach Finance Director, not to pay these members any additional monies. It was just simply not something we could do.
Is this a resolution for 5 members?
Just Mr. Brown, I'm sorry.
Is this board, I mean, can we not have a community organized parking rec instead of having to have it through the commission?
Well, that's something I think Ms. Blankenship might bring up in a few moments, is whether
Like volunteers?
you could do as an outside agency and not fund it, or you could do it this way. I just drafted the private act the Parks and Rec Board asked me to prepare. As far as, you guys are the legislatures. If you don't like what's here, you amend it as many times as you want. I'll come back and draft whatever you tell me to draft and have it prepared for you.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I just don't see paying $50 a meeting when we don't have to, when there's state statute that says that, they're not supposed to be paid for board.
Right.
Mr. Tripp.
Mr. Buchanan wants to speak. I'll yield the floor to him. Okay.
Mr. Peters, $3,800 a year out of your budget of how much is what you're going to do?
What is it, 11,000?
11, a little over 11.
You're going to be asked shortly for money for the National League Park.
We have already voted, they voted at the last meeting and appropriated $5,000 to the Little League, National Little League on West End.
That's the Larry Brown situation you talked about. He was able to get the thing donated, and he asked the highway department, so we don't need that anymore. So what we probably need is some smoothing in the gravel.
I think Summers and Taylor's has.
Yeah, Summers and
has
Taylor's
donated
going
some
home.
equipment.
Well, they're going to spread.
No, they've done some.
They're going home.
Yeah, okay, we appropriated $5,000 to, buy the gravel, some of the gravel.
So
Some
we
like
still need smoothing and backing of the gravel. And that's
Right.
what they'll be asking the county for.
Yeah. The Park and Rec does projects all over the county. I mean, Round Mountain Park, we appropriate a lot of money for Round Mountain Park. Of course,
Well, now,
there's
that's a lot
community
of
center.
volunteers too.
Yeah,
that
they have a lot of
donate time
volunteers.
to that park.
And Park and Rec,
I'm sure
out of
it
their
has.
budget, appropriates money for Round Mountain Park and Rec.
I'm sure if asked, that they would be, somebody step up to the plate and say, I would be more than glad to go down there and volunteer my time to be on this board without pay. I guarantee if asked.
Well, I'm just bringing back what the board asked. They say, they gonna have to go out and look at different things and stuff, and as high as gas is, that they don't mind volunteering their time, but it's money out of their pocket. I'm the representative to bring back to you all what they tell me. And since I've been on there, I have tried to reroute some of the things that, to work with school systems and things that we already have to make it easier to do different projects.
Mr. Lewis.
I've got a couple more questions than who does the hiring for the Park and Rec Board now?
You do the appointments.
Who nominates?
I don't know how the nomination procedure works, but the
It would have to
county
go
commission
before this
votes.
board and vote on it.
There's applications put in, and then it's brought before the county commission.
Okay, now, if this passes, who would do the nomination then?
Same way.
Same way.
Same line.
Oh, it would be, one from each district instead of some, now,
Yeah.
some districts have 2 or 3.
Some districts
And some don't have any
2 people on it.
representation.
As they come out, this won't be done, the whole board won't be replaced at one time. It'll be staggered.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you got 5 in on now, and you're gonna have 8, who is gonna nominate one from each district? I know we vote on who does the nomination. Who picks them?
Well, the applications will be presented.
I imagine it'd be just like it was today
Yeah,
on these
like it
other
was today.
elections.
People put an application in, and we vote on it.
Mr. Chambers?
You're just gonna have 8 instead of 13 eventually.
Yes, we've been, as their, time ran out, the end of their term, they just haven't been appointed back. We're trying to get it back down to, state statutes of 5.
The current procedure for appointing a member to the Parks and Rec Board is to be appointed by the presiding officer of the governing body of the county, which is the Speaker of the Commission. The private act left that intact. The main 2 functions of the private act that the Parks and Rec Board has to be drafted, and really the only 2 major changes, only 2 changes truly, were 1, a payment of $50 per meeting, limited to 8 meetings per year for 9 members. 9 members was chosen. When I went to the Parks and Rec meeting, they asked me to come, and their thought process was 1 from each district, and then have the 9th member be a person appointed by the commission, because traditionally it's a bad idea to have an even number of people on the board, because sometimes that can lead to a 4-4 kind of a log jam on an idea. The other item that was asked to be changed beyond the payment was the number of people. And when we put it in, when they asked it to go to 8 people, and then have the 9th for the tiebreaker, then the commission would appoint them 1 member per year, but we've got it in where every 2 years, 2 people roll off, so that you would have, not have a complete board turnover every year, just have 2 go and replace them and so forth. And I think Section 2 lays out the terms. If you're not happy with some provisions the Parks and Rec Board has put forth, you can always amend this resolution on the floor today with the proposed resolution, or you can decline it even. But that was what the Parks and Rec Board asked to be prepared, and then Commissioner Peters asked me to be prepared on his behalf, and that's what was done.
Mr. Chambers?
I think we need to look at one aspect of what this represents. And I think Mr. Peters made it clear, this county, we have different communities that sit in different areas of this county. We have a lot of children, kids in this county that don't have transportation to the city parks. Our school playgrounds sometimes are the places these kids go for the recreation parks. I think what we need to look at, and I think it's a good idea to have a representative from each community, from each district. But I think the main thing is what we need to look at is what's best for our children. Give our children a safe environment on which a playground where they can go in the summertime and play. Like I say, the kids that live in Little Milligan and Poggy, and kids that live in Rome Mountain, they don't have access to come to the city to play ball. I think one of the things that Mr. Peters has brought out that later on, that maybe the county can start their own baseball program, to where these kids that live in Valley Forge and Hampton and Rome Mountain and Nathan could have their own teams. We need to look at the whole aspect of it, not just the adults. Let's think about kids. Thank you.
Ms. Brown?
I'm all for the kids, but I like saving the tax dollars too.
What are the options? Oh, go ahead, Mr. Blankenship.
I just want to make sure that this resolution will leave the door open for us to, in the future, or even in the next budget year, if we wanted to make this Park and Rec Board an outside agency, that we could. It would really help with the keeping of the books and with our audit each year from the state, if they were an outside agent rather than a entity of the county government. That's my opinion.
And Ms. Blankenship, if this resolution appears to have the votes to pass, or appears that the commission wants to move forward on it, an amendment to add one simple provision clearly defining that in here, but this would be a perfect time to do that.
Well, I just want to make
If you
sure
so
that we
choose.
want to take that option away from us.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, just to respond to what Commissioner Blankenship just addressed. We've talked about this before, and if you do make them an outside agency, then they're going to be responsible to do their own audit, which is a significant amount of money. We're talking about a very small annual budget. You're issuing now just a little over $11,000. Why even have it if you're going to force them to an outside status where they're going to have to pay a third of that or more just to be audited each year annually? It just doesn't make sense. We're throwing good money after bad.
Thank you, sir. One of the options that was kicked around during this on the pay, if the members wish to be paid, their pay could come out of that $11,000 in their budget and would not be any additional funds. But that's just an option, and it doesn't have to be 50, it could be 30, it could be 20, whatever you all would decide. So I think now would be a good time either to read the resolution in its entirety or waive the reading of it and go straight to any type of amendments that it might have for it. So what's your pleasure?
Waive the reading.
Waive the reading.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lawrence, second by Mr. Hicks to waive the reading of the resolution.
Question on the
All in favor, say aye.
I'd like to amend the motion that literally it's a non-paid committee.
We have already a motion to waive the reading. We'll get to that amendment in just a minute. All in favor of waiving the reading of this resolution, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Now, Mr. Brown.
I'd like to make, amend that to where it's a non-paid committee. 8 members, but still unpaid.
Would the amendment be essentially delete subsection 3?
Yes.
Okay.
Have a motion to amend the resolution to delete any payment to this committee. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Lewis. Any discussion? Mr.
What districts are represented in this?
What districts are they in now?
Yeah, you've got what, 5? What districts are not represented?
I don't know.
I don't know exactly.
More aren't than
There's
are.
more not represented. You got like a couple.
You said you had 2, you got 2.
That's on board, so actually we
Just
just
got
got
4.
We probably just got 4.
You got, you don't have any 17. I just wanted, I didn't know what this was.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, you have a motion and a second to eliminate the section about pay to no pay. All right, call the roll, please.
Peters.
No.
Gig Ritchie.
No.
Lawrence Hodge.
No.
Nancy Brown.
Yes.
Joel Street.
No.
Richard Winters.
No.
Ronnie Crivitt.
No.
Harry Seas.
No.
Charles Von Cannon.
No.
Elsie Tester.
No.
Steve Morant.
No.
Tom Bowers.
No.
Joanne Blankenship.
No.
Charlie Bates. Bobby Dees.
No.
Ken Arden.
No.
Steve Chambers.
No.
John Lewis.
Yes.
Sonia Coler.
No.
Russell Cott.
No.
Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong,
No.
Pat Hicks,
No.
Robert Goff,
No.
20 noes.
20 noes, motion failed. Now, we can entertain a motion to amend it to reduce that pay to any other number that you all might see fit. Have any recommendation on that?
$25.
Make a motion to reduce it to $25. Do I have a second?
I think guys from here, anywhere in the county.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Brown, second by Mr. Lewis to reduce the amount of pay to $25. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Ritchie? I've been waiting for you to say something.
I just want, when I come down here, I just thank the good Lord that they would be here, and I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. But why cut one committee down and not pay them the same as you do the others? That's right.
Mr. Von Camp?
I would entertain the situation if we only pay them 25, that we reduce the pay to the commissioners to 25.
Well, I think the reason behind maybe reducing their pay, think of how many little league coaches, soccer coaches, youth club coaches donate their time all year for that. But that's might be a different situation. Any other discussion? Call roll, please. This is reduced from $50 to $25.
Buford Peters,
No.
Dee Ritchie,
No.
Art Todd,
No.
Nancy Brown, Joel Street,
No.
Richard Winters,
No.
Ronnie Crivitt,
No.
Harry Seas,
No.
Charles Von Cannon,
No.
Elsie Tester,
No.
Steve Grant,
No.
Tom Bowers,
Yes.
Joanne Blankenship,
Yes.
Charlie Davis,
No.
Bonnie Deeds,
Thanks.
Ken Arden,
No.
Steve Chambers,
No.
John Lewis,
Yes.
Sonia Coler,
Yes.
Russell Cott,
No.
Scott Sands, Bill Armstrong,
No.
Pat Hicks,
No.
Robert Goff,
No.
$17 noes, motion failed. Are there any other amendments to this resolution?
Make a motion to approve the resolution.
I have a motion by Mr. Hodge to approve the resolution as presented.
Second.
Second by, who said that? Ms. Gloria. Any discussion? I have one little discussion, that's not discussion, I just want y'all to be aware of something. There's no money appropriated, there's no line item for this pay in this year's budget, so be mindful where you want to get this money from to appropriate for the rest of this year.
Mr. Byers, by the time this goes down, comes back, it's passed, we will be closed into the next fiscal year. So
Look at it,
it may not be an issue till.
It'll be mailed, so it'll be at least mailed.
Very well. All right, everybody understand what we're voting on? That's to approve this resolution as presented. Call roll.
Buford Peters,
Aye.
Dee Ritchie, Art Todd,
Aye.
Nancy Brown,
No.
Joel Street,
Aye.
Richard Winters,
Aye.
Ronnie Crivitt,
Aye.
Harry Seas,
Aye.
Charles Von Cannon,
Aye.
Elsie Tester,
Aye.
Steve Grant,
Aye.
Tom Bowers,
Aye.
Joanne Blankenship,
Aye.
Charlie Bailey,
Aye.
Bobby Dixon,
Aye.
Ken Arden,
Aye.
Steve Chambers,
Aye.
John Lewis,
No.
Sonia Coler,
Aye.
Russell Cott,
Aye.
Scott Sands, Bill Armstrong,
Aye.
Pat Hicks,
Aye.
and Robert Goff.
Twenty-one ayes, motion carries.
I will advance a copy of this resolution once it makes its way through the procedural process of the county to Senator Rusty Crowe's office. Senator Crowe's chief of staff has agreed to draft the actual legislation for the county.
All right, our next resolution, private act, about the landfill director.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lewis.
Now, this one here really does buckle on me. Member Peters said that they discussed this in the Park and Rec Board. But now, when they brought this, I got this in the package, to my knowledge, the landfill committee ain't never discussed anything like this. And I just don't know what was done, illegal, underhanded, or what. We've got 8 members on the landfill committee.
No, it's not illegal according to the CTAS and according to the county.
Well, at least they'll have enough respect for the whole membership to bring this forward in the landfill committee, and let's find out what's going on. Now, Ms. Cullors, I understood supported this. Why did you do this, Ms. Cullors?
I had a discussion with Mr. Lyons concerning his being scrutinized by the mayor. I believe it's been many times in our committee meetings that the committee has talked about what a good job Mr. Lyons is doing, how we're not having to put more money into the landfill, and this is why I did this. Mr. Lyons is doing a wonderful job. When I first came on this commission, every other month we were putting $25,000 into the landfill for operating expenses. We no longer have to do that. He's doing a great job with his expenses. He's doing a great job with the money. When he has to have some equipment, and we give it to him, he goes out and almost buys 2-for-1 trucks.
That's not an issue. He's doing a good job.
The issue is, while he is trying to do his job, and he is doing what the committee is asking him to do, then the mayor is scrutinizing what he's doing, making him feel like he's not doing a good job, and he's also undermining his authority with his employees.
Do you know this to be a fact?
I know this from Mr. Lyons.
I didn't ask you
And I
that.
have been to the landfill. I go to the landfill about every other week.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
down to the recycling center, and I know quite a few employees.
But if there's a lot of controversy here.
I understand that.
If this passes, then will the landfill have the authority to raise the rates? Do anything want to do up here at the landfill?
Only if the committee decides that.
If the committee, but it all be done as committee.
And the body votes for it.
Yeah.
We cannot do anything as a committee except recommend things to the commission, the commission will vote for it.
And Mr. Lyons brought this to your attention,
Mr.
that
Lyons
he
brought
thinks
this
he's
to my
gonna get,
attention.
that he thinks he's gonna get forward, and he's going to, a private act protect his job. Is that the way I understand it?
I don't think that was exactly what he said to me about protecting his job. What he said was that he never felt like he was doing his job. He's always been scrutinized. He's trying his best to do a good job, and he just was very uncomfortable. It's causing him a lot of problems.
Well, now, that's not never been a question, now, that ain't never been a question about him doing a good job. We all agree that he has straightened the landfill out. My question
All
is-
the committee agrees with you.
Yes, down there, ain't committee. But with common courtesy, for anything like this should come up, it should be brought before the whole committee, right?
Well, I apologize if you take that as a slander to you. It was not meant to be. After discussing with Mr. Lyons, I contacted the attorney and asked if I had the right to bring this to the commission. He said I did. I did not see it necessary to bring it to the committee.
Well, I think it's an insult to the England.
Let's do it this way, folks. If y'all have a seat just a second. Let's take a motion on whether to waive the reading of this resolution or not. And then we'll have time to make any amendments to it, and we'll have plenty of time for discussion. I'm not trying to cut you off. We're going to have plenty of discussion on this.
Well, I make a motion that we accept it as suspended. I second.
Who seconds?
I did. Question on the
Motion by Mr. Richards to waive the reading of the resolution, second by Mr. Lawrence. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No. Call the
Raise
roll.
your hand. Let the record reflect that Ms. Brown, Mr. Trivett, and Mr. Lewis were no votes. Motion carried. Now,
Chairman,
yes, Mr. Von Camp.
there was a resolution to this whole thing. There is a grievance committee. And if this was such a horrendous thing that Mr. Lyons, who is doing a good job, felt threatened by anyone, this should have been probably run through the grievance committee. Therefore, we wouldn't have wasted the time of the counselor or this group. Plus the fact that anything going to the county mayor or the county attorney must go through, by our own rules, the chairman of the committee. And according to the newspaper, our chairman did not feel comfortable, so he delegated the situation to Ms. Culler.
No, he did not.
Mr. Attorney, were either of these people together at the same time in your office?
No, sir.
And to correct your statement, Mr. Von Cannon, I think this body agrees that any member of this body can consult the mayor or the county attorney over any problem or question they might have. We as county commissioners and all other elected officials are clients of the county attorney, and as so have a right to seek his advice on anything that they feel they need to. Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, you know, I'm surprised again. Never in my life have I worked in such an environment. And throughout my career, I've always reported to one individual. And my professional career, I've never had an issue. I've always met and exceeded the expectations. Never had a complaint filed. And to date, this is news to me. First of all, I think we're confusing the issues here. Let me read an excerpt from a piece of correspondence that was issued by a county attorney on October 14, 2011. Won't read the whole thing, just an excerpt. Through my examination of the private acts of Carter County, the general statutes of the state of Tennessee, as well as all resolutions of the Carter County Commission, I find no act which would be applicable to name an individual subcommittee as the direct supervisor of the landfill director. In the absence of the aforementioned items, the general statute would place the supervision of the director of the landfill under the office of the county mayor. In this case, absent any additional documentation being provided which would establish a private act or pass an interlocutory agreement, which is still applicable, it would be my opinion that you are responsible for the supervision of the landfill director and his staff. I certainly feel that the Carter County Commission may have an advisory subcommittee, as one currently does exist, to help provide leadership, guidance, and direction to the landfill. That's the key point. The problem is, we've created an environment here. I called Mr. Lyons last week immediately, after I saw this in my packet, to ask what was going on. Mr. Lyons told me that he was torn between the landfill committee and the mayor. He didn't feel comfortable responding or having to answer to two parties, two separate parties, and I understand that. None of us need to be put in that predicament where we have to respond to multiple entities. It's not fair. And believe me, as far as this is concerned, as a mayor and any mayor that comes after me, they would probably welcome it because it lightens their load. The mayors do have a tremendous workload. Today, 28 months, I've averaged 55 plus hours a week in this position. I'm the first one here in the morning before the courthouse opens usually, with the exception of Miss Moreland. She's usually here earlier. And I'm the last one out. And I have not been to that landfill and singled any individual out. Out of common courtesy, I've stopped in, see how they're doing. What do you need? Because it says that I'm responsible for the daily operation, the supervision of not only the director, but the staff. That's what the attorney told me. At no point in time have I scrutinized and pulled Mr. Lyons into my office and reprimanded him. I've never thought about reprimanding him at any point in time. I've always been very complimentary of the job that he does. But here as of late, the mayor has advocated certain things that we need to look at implementing or expanding programs at the landfill to benefit the citizens of this county. And I know that's a little contrary because some of you are dead set against that. I had one of you commissioners not long ago come up to me and say, Mayor, I'm tired of taking things to the people. It's our responsibility and our duty. We have a fiduciary duty to do everything that's in the interest of the people of this county. It's no surprise to you when I say that I'm in favor of downsizing. When I ran for this office, every person that I met, and every person since, now we may be talking to the wrong group or a different group of people. I'm not questioning your contacts and who you're discussing matters with. But my phone rings regularly. I have people knock on my door regularly. I have people send me emails regularly. The bulk of those people are in favor of downsizing.
Mayor, this is not about
I know, but
downsizing. This is about this resolution.
Right, it is. But I've got to make my point, Chairman. Bear with me. I'm not going to go on much longer. The thing about this is, we have to do what's in the best interest of people. Most of the people that I talk to want a smaller, more efficient form of government. So absolutely, I'll be the champion of that until the people tell me whether I agree with it or not. Because I work for the taxpayer of this county. They pay my salary. If you were to pass this private act and put the director of the landfill under the landfill committee, then you've created a situation where there's an absolute ongoing need for the landfill committee. You know, I'm against this. I've said it more than once. It's just like Jack Perkins back there. He's the elected road superintendent of this county. The people elected him and have re-elected him for many years. They entrusted him to take care of the roads. But yet we have a highway committee. All complaints and everything need to be filed through this man. You are here to act upon legislation, not to direct his daily activities. And for one, I don't think that this body should take any part in trying to supervise the events going to the landfill. And as far as monies going into the landfill, in the last 2 years, you have approved over $300,000 to prop this landfill up. Benny Lyons is doing a great job with what he has to deal with. There's going to be major expenses at this landfill going forward. It's going to be considerably more than $300,000. So, how can a committee direct the day-to-day activities of a man and his operation at the landfill 5 days a week, 365 days a year? It's not regular. You cannot manage by committee. You cannot manage by committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Trigg.
You know, here a while back, we had a fire over there at the landfill. Are they going to have to call the committee to come in if they have a fire emergency, or what are they going to do?
I think Mr. Lyons can take care of that. Any other discussion? Mr. Goff.
Mr. Chairman, I don't see the need of having a committee over the landfill. It seems like to me that it's been a good job being run over there as it is. And I just don't feel that we need to appoint somebody over somebody to tell him how to do his job if they don't have no knowledge in what he's doing.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Street?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got a statement I'd like to make, Mr. Chairman. I think I'll
Go right ahead.
Let me say first, I do appreciate everyone's concern on this issue. I realize that it is very important. I've given the matter much thought. I sat down last night and I prepared a statement being the chairman of the landfill committee, and I'm simply going to read that to you now. Is this a power play by the commission as recently suggested? No. It is simply an effort to help a highly regarded landfill director to streamline his operation, responsibilities, and accountabilities to one source. This, I believe, would help simply because decisions always come back to money when it concerns the landfill and other Carter County governmental departments. Thence, ultimately, where does it go? To the Carter County Commission. This would certainly reduce any necessary conflict, stress, and just plain aggravation to this position. If this resolution passes, our current mayor and future mayors still have the right to legislate within our current governmental system. However, myself or anyone else cannot be successful in government without the spirit of compromise, like it or not. I've worked closely with Mr. Lyons. In all my years of experience, I've never seen a more dedicated employee striving to improve his operation and performance. I feel he has been very successful in meeting his goals. After giving this resolution much thought and consideration, I truly feel, it is in the best interest of the citizens and residents of Carter County, Tennessee, that the Carter County Landfill Committee be given power to oversee all aspects of the operation of the Carter County landfill, which shall include, but not be limited to, the power to hire and fire the landfill director, directly supervise the landfill director, oversee the landfill budget, and oversee all day-to-day operations of the landfill. Mr. Chairman, I call for the question of the motion.
Mr. Street, can I ask you a question for a second?
If you answer those two questions, we'll move on to the vote. Go ahead, Mr.
Mr. Street, how is passing this act going to help the people of Carter County?
I'll be honest with you, Mr. Lewis, I think it helps Mr. Lyons. I think it will help him be more effective. Benny and I had several conversations about this. The Elizabethan Star reported that I answered questions about them. I didn't feel like it was appropriate for me to do this resolution. Let me be perfectly clear. I have no problem with it. But like I said in my statement, Mr. Lewis, ultimately these decisions come down to this full commission. The matters concerning when we buy recycling dumpsters, the mayor can't make that decision. It comes through the landfill committee, and then he's having to go back and forth. Now, I know there's been very issues. I'm trying my best not to swing. There's been several issues where the mayor and I and the committee have disagreed. That puts pressure on Mr. Lyons to try to please everyone. So I just think it would help him be more effective. So.
My question is, I know when the landfill comes to this board, we vote on something. How is that going to help the people of Carter County?
Well, I just feel like it's in the best interest because he will be more effective. It'll help him do his job better, Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Von Cannon.
sitting on the landfill committee and trying to make it more effective by hauling in my own truck each week. This disturbs me. Of course, a lot of things disturb me about the way we do business. Maybe this is the only way we can do business. However, the man just admitted as the chairman that this was his thinking, that was the best interest of the community. When we get a chairman such as myself, when you retire, get defeated, then you have someone that's not as knowledgeable as you are in landfill matters. It's not really good business to put your eggs in the basket of the chairman, because you might have another chairman 2 years from now, 4 years from now, that is absolutely incompetent. Therefore, you must have one man. Somebody's got to be the boss. Some of you have said that the mayor's bent your nail. Get real. Most of you have been married a while. Haven't you had your nail bent before? The other thing is, if you do this, you're making a problem for future county mayors. And several of you in this room are wannabes. Therefore, think it out, because you may be the guy that don't have anything to do. Mr. Mayor took the TV set out of his office to save $400 or $500 a year. Mr. Mayor, I advise you to put the TV set back. If we pass this, put the TV set back, watch TV, get you a cot, take a nap, and draw your $80-some thousand a year, and do nothing. We're making a mistake if we pass this resolution.
Do I have a motion to accept this resolution? Is there a motion to accept this as presented, to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Keller, second by Mr. Arnold. Any further discussion? Well,
Question on the motion. Second on the motion.
question on the motion? Call the roll, please.
Buford Peters.
Aye.
Steve Ritchie.
Aye.
Lawrence Hodge.
Aye.
Nancy Brown. Joel Street.
Aye.
Richard Winters.
Aye.
Ronnie Crivitt.
No.
Harry Seas.
Aye.
Charles Von Cannon.
No.
Elsie Testor.
Aye.
Stephen Roy.
Aye.
Ron Bowles.
Aye.
Joanne Blankenship.
Aye.
Charlie Bates.
Aye.
Bob Dees.
Aye.
Ken Arden.
Aye.
Steve Chambers.
Aye.
John Lewis.
No.
Sonia Coler.
Aye.
Russell Cott.
Aye.
Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong.
No.
Pat Hicks.
Aye.
Robert Goff.
No.
Tim Green.
17 ayes, motion carries. We'll go to our committee reports. Budget Committee, Mr. Sis.
Budget Committee met Monday the 14th. And we have several minutes and some other information for you. First item today is we have an additional invoice received for the workers' comp 2011 and 12 premium. This total $22,113. Motion to transfer $17,830 from line item 58600-205, employee insurance, to the appropriate line items for the additional cost of the workers' comp. This is an adjustment that we make every year after what we have budgeted. They let us know what we're going to owe. There was a balance in the account of $4,288, and we're transferring $17,830, which totals $22,113. I make a motion we make the transfer.
Second. A motion by Mr. Sisk, second by Mr. Arney. Any discussion? Call roll, please.
Richard Peters. Steve Ritchie. Mark Hodge. Nancy Brown. Joel Street. Richard Winters. Ronnie Crivitt. Harry Seas. Charles Montana.
Pass.
Elsie Testor.
Aye.
Steve Grant. Tom Bowers. Joanne Blankenship. Charlie Bailey. Bobby Dees. Ken Arden. Steve Chambers. John Lewis. Johnny Coler. Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. Pat Hicks. Robert Goff. Mr. Montana will change your vote.
Let it stand as it is.
Nineteen ayes, motion carries.
Next item is funding for pauper burial. There's expended that line item. We made a motion to transfer $600 from the employee dependent insurance to cover the immediate need. I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer.
Second.
I second.
Motion by Mr. Sis, second by Mr. Lewis. Any discussion?
Did we address this once before, Sharon?
Yes.
Sir, we have.
And we've already spent that money?
Yes.
And how much is a pauper burial?
$600.
Does that include the $255 in Social Security?
That's,
We're looking at that right now. It doesn't so far,
Okay.
but we may take steps toward that goal in the future. Any other questions?
next item.
Let's vote on that first.
Okay.
Call it over.
Richard Peters. Steve Ritchie. Mark Hodge. Nancy Brown. George Street. Richard Winters. Ronnie Crivitt. Harry Seas. Charles Montana.
Pass.
Elsie Testor. Steve Moran. Tom Bowers. Joanne Blankenship. Charlie Bailey. Bobby Dees. Ken Arden. Steve Chambers. John Lewis. Sonny Coler. Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong,
Aye.
Pat Hicks,
Aye.
Robert Goff,
Aye.
no.
19 ayes, motion carried.
Next item, transfer $24,745 from the courtroom security reserve to cover the cost of a panic alarm and camera system for the courthouse and annex offices. I make a motion that we transfer those funds.
Motion by Mr. Sis, second by Mr. Hodge, to use those funds for courtroom security. Any discussion? Call roll.
Weaver Peters. Steve Ritchie. Lawrence Hodge. Nancy Brown. Joel Street. Richard Winters. Rodney Trivet. Harry Seas.
Aye.
Charles Von Cannon. Elsie Testor. Steve Grant. Tom Bowers. Joanne Blankenship.
Aye.
Charlie Bates.
Aye.
Holly Dees. Ken Arden. Steve Chambers. John Lewis.
No.
Sonia Coler.
Aye.
Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. Pat Hicks. Robert Goff.
Aye.
Thank you, vote. Nothing.
19 ayes, motion carried.
Next item is General Fund 101 Amendment Number 4, 12 items. No new money involved, no transfer from the fund balance. I make a motion that we approve that 12 items.
Motion by Mr. Sis, second by Mr. Kite. Any discussion? Call roll, please.
Peter Peters. Steve Ritchie. Lawrence Hodge. Nancy Brown. Joel Street. Richard Winters. Rodney Trivet. Harry Seas.
Aye.
Charles Von Cannon. Elsie Testor. Steve Grant. Tom Bowers. Joanne Blankenship. Joanne Blankenship.
Aye.
Charlie Bates. Bobby Dees. Ken Arden. Steve Chambers. John Lewis. Sonia Coler. Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. Pat Hicks. Robert Goff.
All ayes, motion carried.
Next item, Solid Waste Fund 116, Amendment Number 2, 2 items, 0 coming from fund balance. Make a motion to be approved.
Second. Motion by Mr. Sis, second by Mr. Chambers. Any discussion? Call roll, please.
Richard Peters. Lawrence Hodge. Nancy Brown. Joel Street. Richard Winters. Ronnie Crivitt. Harry Seas. Charles Von Cannon. Elsie Testor. Steve Grant. Tom Bowers. Joanne Blankenship.
Aye.
Charlie Davis. Bobby Dees. Ken Arden. Steve Chambers. John Lewis. Sonia Coler. Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. Pat Hicks. Robert Goff.
All ayes, motion carried.
Next item is Federal Projects Fund 142, Amendment Number 4. There are 4 items, 0 coming from fund balance. Excuse me. I make a motion that we approve this amendment.
Second. Motion by Mr. This guy, second by Mr. Chambers. Harry Seas. discussion? Call roll, please.
Buford Peters. Keith Ritchie. Lawrence Todd. Nancy Brown. Joel Street.
Because I am employed of Carter County, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about promoting, however, I require an argument and a vote answer only to my conscience and to my obligation to my constituents and the citizens this body represents. Aye.
Richard Winters.
Aye.
Ronnie Crivitt. Harry Seas.
Aye.
Charles Montana. Elsie Tester. Steve Durant. Tom Bowers.
Aye.
Joanne Blankenship.
Aye.
Charlie Bailey. Bobby Dees. Ken Arden.
Being employed, Carter County School System, having a conflict of interest, I vote aye.
Steve Chambers.
Because I am employed of Carter County, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted, have a right to declare my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and my obligations to my constituents and citizens this body represents. Aye.
John Lewis.
Aye.
Sonia Coler.
Because an employee of Carter County and a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted, however, I declare that my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and to obligations to my constituents and the citizens whose body represents. Aye.
Russell Cott.
Aye.
Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong.
Aye.
Pat Hicks.
Aye.
Robert Goff.
Aye.
All ayes.
All ayes, motion carried.
General Purpose School Fund 141, Amendment number 4, one item. Make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Sis, second by Mr. Hicks. Any discussion? Call roll, please.
Buford Peters. Keith Ritchie. Lawrence Hodge. Nancy Brown. Joel Street.
Because I am employed of Carter County, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted, however, I require that my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and to my obligation to my constituents and the citizens this body represents. Aye.
Richard Winters.
Aye.
Ronnie Crivitt. Harry Seas.
Aye.
Charles Montana. Elsie Tester. Steve Durant. Tom Bowers. Joanne Blankenship.
Aye.
Charlie Bailey. Bobby Dees. Ken Arden.
Being employed of Carter County School System, having a conflict of interest, I vote aye.
Steve Chambers.
Because I am employed of Carter County, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted, have I declare that my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and to my obligations to my constituents and the citizens this body represents. Aye.
John Lewis. Sonia Coler.
Because I'm employed of Carter County, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted, however, I declare that my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and to the obligations to my constituents and the citizens whose body represents. Aye.
Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong.
Aye.
Pat Hicks.
Aye.
Robert Goff.
Aye.
All ayes.
All ayes, motion carried.
And the last thing, excuse me, that I have, you have in your folder a copy of the budget calendar, the workshop, so forth, that'll be starting pretty soon. That's just for your information. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sis. Ms. Blankenship, financial manager.
Back in June of 2012, the Financial Management Committee voted to give the finance director a $2,500 raise each year until the salary got up to that of the trustee of the county. I failed to get that written into the minutes of the county commission meeting, since the county commission approves the salary of the finance director. The money was in the budget. It was approved by the committee, but I can find no record of where this commission approved that $2,500 pay increase for her. So in order for her to start getting this salary, increase, I need the full commission, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
That be retroactive back to July 1, 2012.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Blankenship, second by Mr. Street. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Buford Peters. Hugh Ritchie. Lawrence Hodge. Nancy Brown. Joel Street. Richard Winters. Ronnie Crivitt. Harry Seas. Charles Montana. Elsie Testor. Steve Grant. Tom Bauer. Joanne Blankenship. Charlie Davis. Bobby Dees. Ben Arnett. Steve Chambers. John Lewis.
No.
Sonia Coler. Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. Pat Hicks. Robert Goble.
All ayes, motion carries.
Now Ingrid can start getting her ready. I apologize, Ingrid, for any inconvenience that this may have caused you on my part. In the December meeting, we had Randall Lewis come and report. At that time, we had 20% of the property tax had been collected to date. And he reminded the committee that the tax relief is available for the elderly and disabled homeowners with a household income of under $26,830. At that meeting, we also had Brandon Walters from Trinity Consulting to come in and talk to the committee about their wellness program. It's a 3-phase program, and we'll be asking them to come in and talk to the Health and Welfare Committee and explain how this program will work and how the rewards will be obtained for the county and what an advantage it would be for the employees of the county. In our January meeting of the financial management, Ingrid is working with Saratoga to get everything up to par with her computer and technology system there in the finance office. We also reviewed the Financial Management Act of 1981. And as you all remember, whenever we went under the 81 Act, the Budget Committee was left by the legislative body at the time when the 81 Act was adopted. The Budget Committee was left under the legislative body. The Purchasing Committee was put under the Financial Management Committee. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Dr. Ward reported to us about a lot of different things that he has going on in the school system. And if you take the Elizabeth and Star, they're featuring some of the innovative things that we have going on in our school system. In the health and welfare in December, Andrew Worley talked about the recent bond grant that came into the county clerk's office, and I'm sure Mary can tell us all about that. But he has suggestions for training and conducting drills, and he'll be bringing that forward. And LC reported that the new health system that we voted for the jail was working out very well. And when we went through the jail yesterday, we had nothing but favorable comments from Mr. Smith back there about how they were doing. And I personally talked to the healthcare provider that was on duty yesterday, and they said that they had not had any problems with employees expecting to get medication and all from them, that if they had
be permanently left open. This is more of an alley than anything. Is that right, Mr. Schuler?
Dedicated driveway, it's never been.
Okay, a dedicated right-of-way. He stated he closed the road with landlocked his property. Ms. Sonia Kohler made a motion to put a note on the county road list so it never would be closed. The motion was seconded by Steve Lawrence. Motion passed, and I put that in form of a motion to this body today.
I'll second. Motion by Mr. Street, second by Mr. Lewis. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
With these two additions to the current county road list as given to us in our packets, I make a motion that we approve the county road list for 2013.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Street, second by Mr. Lewis to approve the road list. Any discussion? Mr. Von Camp.
We need, as commissioners, I think we need this, and this is a suggestion, that in the future, we need to know a summary of what roads are added, what were taken off, because looking at this, we're voting blind. The other thing is, I've got to remind again, CTES says that any road that's put on the road list must be on a mail route, it must be on a school bus route, and it must have been actively used for 20 years. I think there's been violations of this in the past. Repaving needs to be on the summary. Why can we repave some roads when we've got others you can't drive over? I'd like to see a summary attached to this road list in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Von Camp. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
One more thing I would like to mention, Mr. Chairman.
incentive program, and it is a program that was passed on a one-year basis by this commission, I think probably last month, on the bonus incentive program. I don't believe that we have a serious problem with the Fair Labor Standards Act. The only thing that would be applicable there is that we're going to have to pay those overtime hours accumulate, or the additional monies go towards any kind of potential overtime. Where I do think we run into potential problems, CTAS is pretty scared of the project. I think it's a wonderful idea, and I'm not saying that. It's just they're very concerned about the potential audit issues, and the state auditors did not give us a lot of help on defining what percentages we would need to divide between the city and the county on the incentive program. I think it's a program that, as you've already endorsed the idea, that we could potentially implement in a year or so, but I think that we need some time with Ms. Deloach's office and with the state auditor, and if it means setting a meeting and getting them up here or us going there to make sure that we iron out the bugs of this thing so that we're not, I'd rather get it right the first time through. And I think state audit might be the only place we could run into a problem. It's a new program, it's a new idea, and everywhere I went, I kept hearing we couldn't do it, but nobody could ever cite any authority. And nobody could ever give me a case law or an AG opinion. And upon my research, I don't see a lot of problems. However, when we get into audit, we did run into some problems. So I'd like to look into that, spend some time with Ms. Deloach, the state auditor, and make sure that when it's implemented in a way that does not result in audit findings for this county. And if that means delaying it for a year, that might be the best thing to do at this point, to give us some additional time.
Attorney Barrett?
Yes, sir.
If I may, it's not a bad idea, because really right now, this program was brought online premature. There's no funds there to support this program. I mean, we've within the school system itself, cardboard and paper. Year to date, we're falling way short. I mean, we're right at that $50,000, so there's no money there. And we're putting out an idea that will ultimately lead to download and disappointment. So there's just not any money there. Should have never been introduced this early.
I talked with an independent auditor who does government auditing, and the state audit can't give me single Deloach's requests and answers, that he's volunteered to come in and give us some pro bono time to help us make sure that we get through and give his opinions at least. And he does state audits, on different state agencies, so it's something with his help. I have the utmost faith in Mr. Deloach. I just have the utmost faith in the state audit department to give us a lot of answers. Would you agree with that? That's what they.
Yeah, they're not very.
They're very reluctant to give advisory opinions, so it's something we'll get through. It may just take us a little bit of time, and it's not something we probably with them off. So I'll help arrange an initial meeting, but my expertise is not in accounting. It's something I will rely on Mr. Deloach once I get the right people to. This month, we prepared various resolutions. The commissioners was asked to do so. One resolution that I prepared on behalf of Commissioner Lewis, and I failed to tell Commissioner Lewis to ask the Chairman Barrett to put on the agenda today, and that was a resolution that I've got, and I will be introducing next month. It's on the renaming of the E.C. Miller Bridge on 321, Highway 321. That was something that the Commission passed unanimously. However, it was passed the way we'd always passed it in the past, and it never had a problem with it, just a note in our minutes. Representative Hill called me back and asked if we just do a formal resolution. So I prepared a resolution on behalf of Commissioner Lewis, just monumenting our vote for June 18, 2012 in a formal resolution form. And that's something we'll take to the proper channels and have for you next month. And you've already voted on it once, and we'll get that down to the state legislature. And even doing it in February, from our conversation with Representative Hill, we will not miss the deadline to get that through this year on the private acts. That's all the problems for the side. We're trying to take care of some constitutional on that. We had a bid issue come up this month from an attorney in Knoxville about the bidding process for the bidding of the scales, and the project included the scales. Mr. Benny Lyons continued to lodge me, and then we met with those same two individuals and Mayor Humphrey to review the bid process. At this point, no irregularities have been pointed out by this attorney that, to me, feel would violate the bid process, and after speaking with Mr. Deloach, many of the allegations set forth in this correspondence simply are not true. I've already dictated yesterday our response, and I hope to have that out today. If he just wishes to proceed with the formal challenge of the bid process, he certainly has the right to do so. But I'm very comfortable to defend this for the county with the information at my disposal at this point. I think Mr. Deloach managed a good bid process and a very fair one. He was not awarded the bid, and sometimes that leads to sour grapes. And it's just It's just facts of the matter. Sometimes when people don't get the bids, they're not happy with the decision we make. Was asked to do some research as to the bid process that's going on for the hauls and the removal of waste from the landfill. That's something that Mr. Loach has sent out a second request to all bidders for some additional information. I was just asked to review the process on that and got into some pretty interesting processes insofar as if the actual department head, which is Mr. Lowe, and Mr. Loach do not agree on the bid process as far as where it goes back to financial management and things of that nature. But I did provide an opinion, and I did that, I think, to Mr. Von Cannon, the mayor. Benny was there, Mr. Benny Lyons, and Ingrid just the other day. And Miss Ingrid is still handling that process and doing a supplemental bid at this time, so it's really not back to my desk just yet. Completed some title work on behalf of the Industrial Bond Board this month on the SIA project. It's a road project going on that the Tennessee Department of Transportation is working on. There were several liens found on a couple of the private properties. The property with the city of Elizabeth is not going to be a problem. But speaking with Mr. Bob Woodson about weekly, and Mr. Woodson is represented with the Tennessee Department of Transportation until those liens are released. And he's had some problems with secondary. You don't have problems if it's Citizens Bank or Carter County Bank or Elizabeth Federal, Security Federal, but when you get into Bank of America, Wachovia, and these big conglomerate banks, it's a little harder to get those releases. Right now, our Economic Development Director is working on those, Mr. Tom Anderson, rather than my office, simply because that's part of his job. And once he gets those partial releases, then I can remove those from my title work and allow LLT to proceed. But Mr. Anderson has been providing me updates, and he has been in contact with each of the individual banks that he has to receive a release from. Was asked to look into the potential sale of real property from the Carter County landfill, provide an opinion letter to Chairman Street, which was, I think, resolved at the last landfill committee meeting, and my simple opinion that I think that opened up quite a bit of potential liabilities for the county on several directions. It's something I would certainly not advise for the money we potentially receive. Was asked by the Civil Service Board this month to research several potential issues. The Civil Service Board is an ongoing fluid act. The act itself allows the Civil Service Board itself to promulgate its own rules. And quite simply, due to the opening of the new jail and the need that our sheriff has for additional employees, that they're taking some steps to streamline their process so they can do the test and have it available a little bit quicker for our sheriff to be able to try to hire the employees to fill the vacancies in his jail staff. We used to, I guess, jailers. I always call them the jailers or correction officers. I always call them jailers going over. They're correction officers now. Is that right, Mr. Smith? Correction. They've got quite a few vacancies, and we're trying to straighten. And Civil Service Board is looking at doing a wonderful thing insofar as their rules were set up in the mid-'70s. We've done one revision probably in 2005, and what they're doing now, since that revision, they've been acting under that revision. There's still several provisions in there that are just really more than they could possibly do. And rather than having provisions in the code they simply don't follow, they're editing those and removing them and making the rules follow what actually needs to be done in our county, and they're doing a good job. And that's Mr. Whaley, Mr. Anderson, and Mr. Carden. And they've met with me, and I think they're going to vote and adopt the proposed changes, and I've drafted those on their behalf. We did receive the final bond packet from Hunter Smith Davis. Baker Donaldson represented the Industrial Bond Board on behalf of the county, on behalf of the Industrial Bond Board itself, insofar as the Milligan College bond issue. That was completed and funded, and I received the last packet closing that project for the county, and that many lawyers involved, it was pretty well a novel by the time we got it. I think you may have saw it one day as you came through. But that's been put away and closed. As far as some litigation updates where we haven't met for a couple of months, I want to give you a little bit more, some updates. One, and the first one is on Deep Ocean Engineering. That is a bankruptcy that was filed in San Francisco in which the county was named as a potential creditor. That involved some equipment that was being purchased through a grant granted to several counties. Washington County issued the check for the purchase of the same. They issued a check for $60,000. Washington County took the position that Carter County had initiated the order. I would contest that, and I would litigate that before I would pay the additional $60,000. This was something that was done even before Mayor Humphrey became involved. I think this was one of the last things that came up when Mayor Holder was involved. And due to the bankruptcy specialty nature of this case and the fact that we had to file a claim in a state that's 5 hours from here, we hired Rick Bearfield in Johnson City, who was a bankruptcy expert. Mr. Bearfield was then hired by Washington County to represent their interests as well. He filed a claim on behalf of Carter County and a claim on behalf of Washington County. The Carter County claim was paid in the amount of $16,317.07. On a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, that's an incredible recovery. To even get, to be up over 25-27% on a Chapter 7 is something you don't hear of. Washington County received the same monies. Mr. Bearfield sent us a bill for $752.31 for his services, and I advanced that to Mr. Deloach for payment out of the attorney's fees fund for the county. But that money, I advanced that money immediately upon my receipt to Finance Department to be deposited. I think at this point now it'll be time for probably the county mayors, the directors, the chairs of the commissions, and the county attorneys from Washington and Carter to get together. This is most likely their money. They're the ones that paid it out. We received it because we were claiming, but we never had the money come out of our pocket, but we need to get clearance and get releases that we won't be sued as well. And we do have something they want, which is an additional about $15,000 and change less our fees. So that's an excellent recovery on a Chapter 7. I was extremely pleased with Attorney Bearfield's work on behalf of our county, and he kept us up to date and did a great job. Calhoun v. Carter County was an election filed in federal suit. That was a federal court that was filed against the county, against the Sheriff's Department. That's an inmate case in the facility. Partial motion to dismiss has been filed by Jeff Ward, attorney for our carrier, dismissing the sheriff as he was named individually, and I believe that will be successful. Jeff will then start the process of discovery. This looks like a pretty weak case at this point, and I don't think there's any indication that we're going to make any kind of offer of settlement. Give credit where credit's due. Sergeant McKinney and the Sheriff's Department put together an unbelievable packet of information. It was extremely professional. It was brought to me in just a few days so I could advance it to our carrier, both our carrier's representative and our carrier's attorney, and he did an excellent job. And it truly shows when you're keeping the records like that. It really helps in defending these cases against the county. It makes us much more likely not to pay a judgment. Ice House Saloon case was heard on brief. It did not go to full trial. The briefs were filed by both sides. Chancellor Johnson has not issued his opinion at this point. However, he did verbally rule from the bench. Chancellor Johnson, as you remember the Ice House property, imagine that you've got this page divided in half. And the Ice House Saloon was on the first half of the property with field lines, some of the building being built on the second half of the property, and then parking in the back half. The beer board denied the issuance or denied the continuation of sale of beer on the property. We did not strip him at the time, but he was ordered he'd have to remove everything back to the first track because, in our opinion, that was all that was grandfathered. If we had allowed him to continue to sell at the second lot, then you could have potentially invalidated our setback rules, which I think Chris Schuler could give you some more details on that. That would kind of tie the hands of planning as far as the placement of any kind of beer sales in the county. Is that pretty accurate, Mr. Schuler? Chancellor Johnson equitably decided the case in a way in which he decided that both lots were grandfathered, so that the Ice House Saloon, both lots, could continue to sell alcohol or sell beer off of those lots. However, by grandfathering both lots, he specifically stated twice and asked to be put in the order that that not invalidate any of the county setback rules. That keeps intact our 300 to 2,000 foot rules for churches and homes so that we can regulate the sale of alcohol close to homes and churches in the future. That order has not been put down yet. When that order goes down, at that point, the attorney for the carrier, Ms. Brandy Burnett, worked under Jeff Ward on this case. Brandy's going to come up and present this to the beer board, as the beer board is that individual named in the case, but just to give you guys as a full commission the update on that. Whitehead versus Carter County, a partial motion to dismiss was granted insofar as Ms. Linda Whitehead individually. The action between Carter Maine LLC and the county still does exist, and discovery will begin on that at this time. And then finally, the last one, and probably is I'm sure you all have read about it just in the last day or so, a pretty big case. An action was filed against Judge Walton in the Carter County Chancery Court. That action was filed on behalf of an individual defendant. They're alleging some pretty rough allegations against the court and against the judge. I've advanced that to the Finance Department yesterday, and then I think this morning, has Mr. Thompson already got that?
He has.
Okay.
Sent to the carrier.
He's advancing that to our carrier immediately to determine what the representation will be. This, to me, on initial blush, looks like another case of a person who's charged with a crime that thinks that we should be more convenient for them than we should be for the victim, and that they should be able to come to court at their convenience and not the convenience of the court. And I guess Judge Walton should somehow form a schedule in which defendants could check in as they please and not have to be there at 9 o'clock. And he's just not. I speak strongly about this because I believe Judge Walton runs a very fair court and a strong court. And I'm very excited. I really hope the carrier picks this up and provides representation for the judge. I think he does a good job. The allegations here are pretty strong, and they better be able to prove them. This is just not even got to the discovery process yet. But I can tell you that just off the record, there have been several attorneys already lined up to testify on behalf of the court in the county. This is just not something they've witnessed in this courtroom. This is just beginning, and once we get the word back from the carrier on how they pick it up, I'm going to ask Jeff Ward to handle this himself if they do pick it up, just due to his experience in constitutional law and his defense of this county in the past. And I'm not really ready to give you any more updates because truthfully, I got the complaint late on Friday and I've only just read it and sent it to the carrier at this point. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have one question for Attorney Bowers.
Yes, sir.
You and I met with the District Attorney General many months ago.
We did.
Asking for some direction and insight as far as reimbursement of all kinds of expenses. I do know that you forwarded correspondence requesting that information. Do you have an update as to where we're at? I mean,
Sure. The mayor had a good idea as far as seeking some monies back from the state for reimbursement for county costs on autopsies. The mayor and myself met with with Attorney General Tony Clark, and as the mayor stated, I've done a couple of letters asking for follow-ups. Tony verbally called me, General Clark verbally called me and told me that he did bring this up at the DA's conference on behalf of all the rural counties, hoping to get some movement of having several DAs to address the state legislature and to find some monies to help us. He has promised me he'll give me something in writing detailing exactly what to go back from the Attorney General's conference, but I've not received that yet. I've written him a couple of letters, and I think I've copied you, but I will just go ahead and call him as well. Okay?
Let me say, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate you taking that initiative, and Mr. Bowers, because I know maybe not everybody knows this, but the county is responsible for the bills for all the autopsies that are performed in the county and in the city limits. The city doesn't have to pay any fees for autopsies stemming from the city police department. But I appreciate both of y'all for looking into that and trying to save the county some money. All right. Now it's time for our public comments. Who would like to speak? Mr. Livingston.
Yes, it's evening now. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a pretty hard act to follow, what we've seen here. It seems that the majority of you, which is a lot gone now, don't really understand what you've done here in this private act. Now, anybody that's ever had any dealings with the Water Authority Private Act will understand that not even the courts has any authority over this water authority. They can do as they well please. And it kind of leaves an open door, in my opinion. You can still have a private act like this and nobody can touch it. Only the committee. And the committee, they're not going to tell on each other. So you introduce something here that's total destruction, in my opinion, for this county and the citizens. I don't think you realize what you've done. You wanted to forego the reading, you didn't want anybody else to hear it. And you need to think two things, but you did this trip. And you could go back and look at the Water Authority and the Private Act and the Planning Commission the same way. You can't touch them. No matter what you do, they're untouchable. The only thing that this county commission has authority to do, once you pass this private act, and Nashville approves it, comes back here and you approve it, then it's got to go to the Secretary of State and they file it. I want the county attorney to correct me if I'm wrong. The only authority you have is to go back, you can amend that thing and send it back to the legislator to get it amended. But as far as the wording in it and what's in it now, you can't touch it. Am I correct?
A private act is, just imagine it to be state law, and you know this from Mr. Livingston, because you've dealt with it. It's state law that's been limited only to a certain geographic area, sometimes several counties, sometimes one county. So it's the same as a state law. Once it's enacted, It takes another act of the state legislature to amend it.
That's what I wanted to be sure about,
Yes, sir.
that I was correct on it. Now, what you've done here today, you can't touch this landfill committee. The planning commission can't be touched. The water authority can't be touched unless you go back and amend that act and send it back to the legislature, just like he said. They have to vote on it again, it has to come back up here and be approved again, then it's got to go back to the Secretary of State for filing. And you just have no idea what you've done here today, in my opinion, from what I see. And it seems like you've got so much hatred, and I've told you about this before, there's names but a few here now, to hate one person that you'll go to any extent to screw the entire county. It's just unbelievable. And that's what it appears here that you've done. And I know you have no remorse whatsoever. You've proved it in the past. But I don't understand how you can sit here and do this, for evidently you don't know any better. Because you just bypass readings, you waive the readings, you do anything, you don't want nobody to know. And surely you don't understand it from what I can see. And the people out here, they don't even have a chance to understand it. Because when you waive a reading, these people sitting out here, they have no idea what you're looking at in there. I've looked through that resolution and it's not good. But when you vote on something like this, it's permanent until you go back to the legislature, just like the attorney says, and amend it or do something to come back to somebody's got some power. That committee has sole power over anything they want to do. And you know in the past, that landfill, they stole it blind. Now, to my knowledge, to this point, has anybody been prosecuted for that? Do you know, Mr. Bowers?
I would probably go to Mr. Smith. Was one gentleman prosecuted for theft of fuel? I'm not.
I believe there was an individual that was charged with property.
Okay.
Was prosecuted?
My understanding, yeah, I'd have to go back and double check.
That would be in the court files if that was correct. Okay. Well, that's left open right now. To my knowledge, I've never heard any prosecution. But the point is, it's open door, in my opinion, to steal out of, do anything you want, and nobody can touch this committee that has full authority over it. The gentleman right here just read to you that they want sole power. No strings attached. Nobody, not the commission. The only thing you have the authority to do is amend it, but you gotta go back through the same process you done to get it there. You better do some long things, because you've already done it now.
Thank you, Roy, your time's up.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Anyone else? Any other citizens' comments? All right, we'll go to commissioners' comments. Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Chairman, I don't really know what committee put this in, but last week when we had that flood up here at Hampton, Mr. Hampton was in here 2 years ago about the creek, what's in the mobile home underneath, and they did got 10 more feet of ground moved on this last program. And I don't know what we should put it on the House and Jones Committee, but I think this needs help. Somebody need to go look at it. Get state people, somebody that's got some authority that can do something. So if we have a heavy rain like that the other day, this one more open with an septic tank will be gone.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
I think we need to refer that to the Health and Welfare Committee, because that.
Well, it's something we need to watch.
That river is just before taking that river.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we put this in the thumbs of the health and welfare, and then we'll look at it, and then come back with a recommendation if we can get it.
I have a motion from Mr. Lewis to refer this question to the Health and Welfare Committee. Do we have a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Lewis.
Second from Mr. Lawrence. Any discussion on this? I think this was,
Didn't take it up in the planning, had it?
you looked up in the planning, that's right, Mr. Kite.
We took it up a dozen times, and ain't been none of that.
Well, From my understanding, Mr. Hampton hasn't done anything bad either to relieve the situation. But, any, discussion on this? All in favor say aye. Aye. All in favor say no. Let's call the roll, please.
Buford Peters. Steve Ritchie. Lawrence Todd.
No.
Nancy Brown. Joel Street. Richard Winters.
Aye.
Ronnie Crivitt. Harry Seas. Charles Von Cannon.
Aye.
Elsie Tester. Steve Ray.
Aye.
Tom Allen.
No.
Joanne Blankenship. Shawnee Bailey. Bobby Dees.
Pass.
Ken Arden.
No.
Steve Chambers.
No.
John Lewis.
Aye.
Sonia Coler.
Aye.
Russell
No.
Cott.
No.
Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong.
I'll pass.
Pat Hicks.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Robert Goddard.
Aye.
Eight ayes.
Eight to six, motion failed for a majority.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lewis.
do we have to count the votes they need?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Peters.
I voted for that, but I'm on health and welfare. There's really nothing health and welfare can do. This is a state, everything will have to go through the state. They'll have to make all decisions on this because it concerns waterways. And our hands are tied. There's really nothing this court can do.
I think you're basically correct, Mr. Peters. Any other commissioner comments?
Mr. Chairman, as you well know, I'm sure you've had a lot of phone calls. I've had several from folks out in Siam, and the water bill went up $7 for debt service charge from the WWRA, I believe. And I've explained to the people that the county itself does not have any authority over the utility districts to control them, control their rates. I would like to refer this matter to the appropriate committee and just kind of look into, maybe have Siam Utility there to explain to the people what they're concerned about is why are they raising my water bill $7 and where is this money going and the reason behind it. I'd like for Siam Utility to kind of explain that to the people.
I agree with you, Mr. Lawrence. Of all the issues that have come before this assembly, I've been here 10 years. This is the most I've ever heard from my constituents as a complaint about the Siam Utility District being unresponsive to the needs of their customers and to the complaints of their customers. I had one fellow tell me that it went up $7. They received no notice it was going to go up $7, as is customary. They just got it. He went to the office and was told, I don't have to tell you why it went up. They had a meeting and changed the meeting without telling anybody. And something needs to be done. This fellow said, I can afford $7 on my water bill, but there are a whole lot of people who are served by that utility district who cannot afford that. $7 don't sound a lot to most of us. You know, we blow that at McDonald's at one point. But some of those people out there, and I know those people out there, $7 is hard to come by sometimes. And not only that, but other complaints about that utility district not being responsive. One lady, as we all know, or a lot of us know, this lady came before the planning commission with a problem about, she has, from her meter to her house is 100 yards. Most of us have our meter in the edge of our yard. She has, and the water line is broken.
Incorrect.
And leaking.
Incorrect.
Okay.
Been fixed.
But still yet, it goes across private property. And there's all sorts of issues about crossing private property to fix a leak in the water line. I don't know why.
We just came to a wonderful holiday season, and I had a dream that we would do a little better than this. But there are some good spots. Mickey Taylor and our superintendent have begun looking at security, fence security around the schools. And that's good, because we don't want the same thing that happened in our schools that's happened in several places around the country. They did not wait for the committee. They went ahead and started on their own. Because remember, folks, a camel evidently was created by a committee. The rumor was that God did it, but I think a committee created a camel, because it's an ugly, horrible animal. One other good thing. Saturday was, what day? My birthday. Not your birthday. Day of service.
Community service.
Community Day of Service. And I'm sure all of us ran right out and did something great for the community. But Saturday morning, the 19th, that's the day that was observed, I ran across 4 people, 4 gentlemen. Generally there's 5, but there was only 4 there that day. They were cleaning the parking area at the boat entrance on Blevins Road. And if you've ever been through there, and you will see some photos in the paper I've made of these 4 people cleaning that lot, and it was tons of refuse. Charlie Mitchell, Richard White, Glenn Budden, and Charlie Warren. They were using Richard White's truck, his wheelbarrow, and his hand tools, rakes and set shovels. This is the kind of people that never get a plaque. But these are the kind of people that make this community. They need some recognition. I have the photographs, Mr. Starr.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, sir.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.